Idaho. Idaho. It's the Solomon Project. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. I'm your host, Rich Burns. We are traveling westbound on I-84 in Boise, Idaho. Yes, Idaho. Want you guys to take a good look. If you've never been to Boise, I think I'm still in Boise. Yeah, I think I am still in Boise. Thing is, I passed by the Boise airport. So the stream health is going up and down, up and down, up and down. Let's switch this bad boy over. I have down here so I can get a visual on what is going on. Let's get that visual. Alrighty, connection lost. This is what I'm talking about. Connection lost. It's all good though. It's all bueno. Let's see. Let's see if I can pick it up over here because it's all bueno. Yeah, there it is. Oh. Boise. Noisy Boise. Property value out here in Boise went up a good amount because so many people started migrating over to Boise from states along the West Coast, especially California. Yeah. So let's see what's going on. For some reason, I can't see what I got going on. So I'm gonna have to resort to other measures. Yep, I'm gonna have to resort to another measure. Forgive me for being so distracted, but I need to find out. So let's go. So I'm gonna have to resort to other. Whoa. At least I know my mic is working. Hi, killer. Hello. I got you with me over here in Boise, Idaho, killer. Now let me see if my thing came back on. No, didn't come back on. So I'm having some issues with my connection for some reason. Which is strange because, let's see, over here on this side. Because the signal is very strong, yet, for some reason, it's not so strong between two different devices. Oh well. Let's do this instead. I want to keep it rolling so you guys can see. So you guys can see. Boise, Idaho. Thing is impotent. He has to see Boise, I know. Yeah, let's take it there. So the camera's still connected with YouTube, so that's not an issue. I can see that. We're good there. Little Boise traffic.
Put down phone.
Rush hour traffic, I guess, out here. Is this rush hour? Let's see, what time is it? It's 6:30 in the East Coast, but I don't know what time it is here. Yeah, it's 4:30. 4:30 out here, so yeah. There's a little something traffic here due to rush hour. So I got a threatening message from my broker. Not my broker, but a broker. About arriving to Oregon by tomorrow, which I will. No problem. They got tracking on the load. And they're already threatening to deduct the amount that they're going to pay for this load if I don't deliver tomorrow at my first stop. That's the type of nonsense that needs to stop. Got all these truck drivers distracted with immigrants driving trucks and people who can't speak English driving trucks, making a bigger deal about it than what there really is. However, the things that they actually need to improve upon, they're quiet. They're really quiet about it. For example, the rates need to go up and need to go up by a good amount. So many truck drivers are struggling. And yet you don't hear a peep about making it so that truck drivers can make the type of living that they used to make. But you say the magic words and that's it. They're off. They're off chasing after the shiny objects. Nothing about rates. A bunch of accidents from so many different places. Let's just focus on the ones that have to do with an immigrant. And that's it. That's it. They're distracted. No need to focus on the rates anymore. Nothing. No need to focus on some of the abusive practices that brokers have? Nothing. You got brokers that can put a rate. They got some kind of rating system that brokers use to make carriers look bad. And it doesn't even have to be accurate. It doesn't even have to be honest. Once it's on there, that's it. The carrier can be in really big trouble, and there's no real way to remedy that. I think it's called Carrier 411 or something like that. So if you got a broker that gives puts out some unreasonable time for you to get a load taken over from point A to point B, and the carrier doesn't make it by that window of time, right away they want to destroy your reputation as a carrier. These are the type of things that need to be addressed, because that's what's impacting the truckers' bottom line. That's what's hurting the truckers' means to provide for their family. Hey, Sip. Glad you made it, man. But again, these drivers are so easily distracted. It's incredible. I haven't heard anything from Duffy, which is the head of transportation, about anything having to do with that. But I see a lot of videos popping up, a lot of content creators providing information on the latest people that were put out of service for not speaking English. Or how long has that been going on now, and still the rates are not good. The rates are not good. If you're interested in becoming a truck driver, you want to go over the road, this is not a good time. This is not a good time. Not over the road. If you have a spouse and you have children, it's going to be very, very difficult. You have to both be very strong. Both of you have to be extremely strong to endure the driver of the family being away for months at a time. Months at a time. And there was a time when a truck driver was able to generate enough income to purchase a home, pay for that mortgage, pay for the utilities, and with a family of four, still be able to send their children to college and still retire with a decent amount of money. Now, You can forget about all that. You can forget about all that. You will encounter drivers that create content that perhaps create this image of being better off than what they actually are. You'll encounter that. You'll encounter plenty of that. They don't want to admit. They want to admit that. Finding work, yes, you can find work in the trucking industry. You can find work. But you have to take into consideration what your circumstances are. If you're single, single, I'll tell you what, if I were single right now, I wouldn't be, well, I got to think about that, because you need a residence. You need a residence for your license. Use their address for a means to establish residency. And I would live in the truck. I would live in a truck, and I would save and invest like a beast. I would only buy the clothes that I need, which isn't much really if you're driving a truck. You really don't need much. You're not hanging out. You're not clubbing. Or at least I wouldn't be clubbing. I wouldn't be hanging out. I wouldn't be doing any of that stuff. I would just be saving and investing. Like those are the only two things in this world. If I were if I were single with no children, then I can go into trucking and just do that. The first year, as far as income is concerned, would be the lowest. It would be low, but still, being single with no children, I'll still be all right. After the first year, more opportunities will open up. I might be able to get into a company that's willing to pay more. And I would just focus on that. Protect my license by not doing any kind of crazy driving. You're trying that now, Sip? Yeah. If you're single, and this is coming from my experience in life, if I were single with no children, and I started all over again with the trucking, it could be with whatever you want, I would save and invest like a beast. Like a beast. And as doors open up in the trucking industry, as if you protect your license, you don't drive the truck like it's a car, if you keep a safe distance, yeah. Saving and investing. Yeah, saving it. Listen, Sip. I'm telling you right now. Okay? There are people that have become millionaires started young and they started investing young. One problem that you might run into is that once you establish that foundation where your money is making money to the point where if you're working at a job or something else, hey, Double D, if you're working for someone else or at a job, then one obstacle is telling your employer to kiss your butt real easily. However, by that time you probably have the work ethic to be able to just go through as much as you can, and you're not going to have the same stressors that your fellow coworkers have. You're not. When you have a foundation built on investments that are generating more money for you, I've always said in previous videos that your money, every dollar that you have, is an employee. When you take that dollar and invest it, that dollar now becomes an employee for you. And that employee makes more dollars, which means you have more employees working for you. And when you have enough of them working for you, you don't have the same stressors that your fellow coworkers have. You don't share the same fears that you could potentially be fired. You don't fear that. You're not concerned about your manager's opinion of you because of the fear that they might put you in a set of circumstances where you could potentially lose your job. That's not a fear anymore. The first trucking job I ever got was in 1998. Sometime around 2007, I was still working for them. At that time, I was working 3 jobs at that time. I got to a point in my investing career that I went to the head dispatcher. It was the Thinkorswim platform, I think it was, and I had it so that I can read my charts and everything. It was all laid out, and the head dispatcher just looked at the screen and said, "What is that?" She couldn't even understand what she was looking at, and pointed to the amount that was on there, and I let her know that right now, at this moment, I've already matched what I make in a year in the trucking company. So whatever I was making there, no, you know what? That's inaccurate. What I showed her was that whatever any of the drivers made in the company, regardless as to their seniority, I was duplicating what they made on a yearly basis just with my trading account. In other words, I don't need you as much as you need me. Because with the experience that I had, and the fact that I had a license, and the fact that I was able to be sent anywhere, without them having to worry whether the truck was going to get damaged or not, made me one of the more valuable assets as far as the drivers were concerned. There were new stores that were being opened up, and because there were no directions that were laid out for anybody to use to get to the store, it was maybe 5 drivers out of 200 drivers that were chosen to go to these stores, and I was one of those 5 drivers. There were stores that I was sent to, and I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm bragging, but it's to make a point. There were stores that you had to be trained on how to get in and out of those stores first before they assigned you those stores. And I never had to be trained to go to those. A lot of those places were in New York City. But because I'm from New York City and have been driving as long as I have, I was trusted to go to these locations. So if someone couldn't make it, if somebody had a route to one of those stores and they couldn't make it, well, I was like their freelancer, so to speak, that they could send to. So what I told my head dispatcher, listen, you can't threaten me anymore, because they threaten you with low paying runs if you don't do what they tell you to do. So I told her, listen, your dispatchers, they can't threaten me into doing stuff anymore. I'm gonna say no. They're gonna get angry, but this is the reason. Okay, with my trading account, I generate a yearly income comparable to the highest paid drivers here in the company. And it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. I was done with a delivery. I think it was 3 stops. 2 in Long Island, 1 in New Jersey. I was tired, and the dispatcher told me I had to go pick up what's called a backhaul. A backhaul is typically product that's coming into the warehouse that had been relayed from warehouse to warehouse until it gets to its final destination. And the dispatcher's telling me, I need you to go and get this. And I said, wait a minute. That's out of my way. And he said, it doesn't matter. I need you to go get that. And I said, well, can't you get somebody else to get it? He said, no, I want you to get it. Now, I don't know if he's saying that because he wants to bust my chops. I don't know what the deal is. But I said, well, I'm tired and I want to get back. I put in enough miles for the day. And he said, yes, you are. I said, with an attitude. And I said, listen, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to. This is the address, and you're going to go get it. I entertained him by writing down the address. And I thanked him for giving me the address, and I said, well, I'm not picking it up. He goes, if you want to work tomorrow, you're going to go pick this up. I said, okay, thanks. I showed up at the warehouse without picking up that backhaul. And he was sure I was going to get it. He was sure I was going to get in trouble. But nothing ever happened. Nothing ever happened. He didn't understand. I couldn't confirm why I wasn't sitting at the manager's office because of that. I suspect because the manager was fed up with having to deal with the complaints that the other dispatchers were giving him about me. Because I got the job done that needed to get done. Any extra stuff, if I didn't feel like doing it, I just didn't do it. And I wasn't worried. And it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. And that's why I encourage people, invest. Everybody's going through something when it comes to their finance right now. But it is happening the way it has happened on many occasions throughout my history. While the working class and middle class people are struggling, the wealthy are getting wealthier. And the main reason is because they invest. They invest. Now, I'm sure everybody's been hearing stories about how inflation is hurting people, how the cost of food has gone up, how rents have gone up, mortgages have gone up, property taxes have gone up, everything going up, but salaries have not gone up. Or if they have gone up, they haven't gone up in the proportion that would make them make their ability to have extra money in the same proportion as they did before all these things went up in price. But I can tell you who's not going through that problem, and that's the wealthy. They're not going through that because they invest. Because they invest. For some people, it's a bigger sacrifice than others to invest. For some people, it is. Apparently, it's worth it. And this is not financial advice, by the way. This is not financial or investment advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. A valuable lesson that you'll learn from George S. Clayton's book, The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a very small read. I think it's about 100 pages. If you read 10 pages a day, you'll get through that book in 10 days. But is something that's very doable. what they discuss in that book. Very doable. And it's just a matter of, let's say, making slight adjustments. Adjustments that you can comfortably get used to. Comfortably. So the story takes place in Babylon. So we're talking thousands of years. And a scribe, somebody who etches words on stone tablets, was hired by a wealthy man to do just that. And he had the nerve to ask that wealthy person, how is it that he became rich? And this story is being told to his friends. That very scribe is telling this story to his friends that he grew up with. So the wealthy person told him, pull out your purse. And when he pulled it out, he had nothing but dust up in his purse. Nothing but dust. Then the wealthy man told him, listen, for every 10 coins that you make, leave 1 coin behind. For every 10, leave 1. That's 10%, right? So for an entire year, he did just that. And then when the wealthy man came back to have some more work done, he asked the guy, how's your purse? So when he pulled out his purse this time, he had lots of coin in there. Okay, so is it really that hard? Is it really that hard? What's the secret? What's the secret sauce, the secret code to acquiring wealth? Discipline and consistency. This guy in the Navy had discipline and consistency. Didn't hang out with the other sailors when the ship was at port. Nothing. He didn't go party. He didn't go spend money. Nothing. He invested all his money, lived off whatever the Navy was paying him. 20 years after he retired from the Navy, and he didn't stay in the Navy. Well, no, he didn't retire from the Navy. He did whatever time he was going to do. I think it was somewhere between 8 to 10 years. Got out, and then 15, 20 years after that, he's a billionaire. It's discipline and consistency. That's all it is. As the amount you have increases, you can also increase the amount that you use for your quality of life. Not only one shot. I explained to my oldest son, listen, you're making X amount of money right now, and you're doing all these things. You got children, you got 2 children, you got a wife and 2 children, and you're doing all these things with your money. He changed jobs. He was making almost double the amount. I snatched him up real quick. I said, listen, you're making twice the amount. That doesn't mean you have to spend twice the amount. You were fine. When you were making half the amount that you're making right now, you were just fine. Don't fall for these psychological traps. You were just fine. When you were making half the amount, you made the decision to start putting money aside to invest. You're making twice the amount now. Don't increase your expenses by twice the amount. I'm fortunate that my son didn't just yes me to shut me up. He put what I said into practice. Instead of increasing the amount that he was spending for the sake of impressing everybody else around him, for the sake of impressing his friends, he decided to increase the amount that he was investing. And just like the scribe in The Richest Man in Babylon, he too has coin. Coin that he's never had all at one time. And funny enough, his circle of friends did shrink, as it always does. As you get older, your circle of friends shrinks. What you defined as a friend becomes more specific, or your definition becomes narrower. But in that time that it narrows, you're blowing money, and then when you get to a certain age and you think back, you say, wait, what the hell? I could have had this. I could have had this amount right now had I not done all that stuff. Because all that stuff that I did really didn't amount to anything. All those relationships that you wind up breaking off are relationships that yield anything toward your future. Yeah, at the moment, your what's that I'm looking for? What's that? You're escaping reality is what you're doing, actually. Escaping reality. The need to escape reality. And that's not to say that as you get older and make more money, you don't escape reality. Of course you do. You escape reality. But you're more conscientious about how much time you spend escaping reality and how much of your resources you use to escape reality. How much? How much time is spent and how much of your resources is spent escaping reality? And as a human being, yeah, you need to blow off steam. So you go and you escape reality with something. Watching a sporting event, participating in sports, dancing, visiting family, visiting friends. Some forms of escape can be detrimental to your health, detrimental to your financial health. So of course you got to be careful with that. But if your goal is to create a financial foundation that will serve you during crisis, because crises occur all the time. All the time. If you buy a home anywhere in the northern part of the United States, a crisis can occur at any moment during the winter. You can have a pipe burst. You can have a pipe burst because maybe the temperature in the house goes down too low for too long. Your pipes freeze. Then you have a burst. And because it's your home, you got to come out the pocket. And you got to come out the pocket right away. Was it a calculation? Vacation? Or a trip to another part of the world? Do you have it? Not saying that you can't take that cruise or that trip, that vacation. But again, did you have the discipline and the consistency to put money aside before you for the amount and the time that you're taking that escape for? Do you have it? Do you have a car? Do you depend on that car? Do you need it to go to work? Piece of equipment. And here's something that these what do they call these workers? These gig workers, Uber drivers, Lyft drivers. They see the money coming in to consideration. For example, I'm asking you about whether or not you need a car to go to and from work. Well, here's a situation where the car is actually what they need to work. Are you the maintenance of the car? Yeah, you're driving, you're picking people up, you're making money, and you're getting paid every day. This money's going into your account every day. So you see money going into your account every day. So because you see that money every day, that's it? It's, you do whatever you want, whenever you want, with that money. You're ready to go escape from reality right every day? Well, hopefully you sat down and you did the math, because you got bills to pay. Fuel being one of them, right? You need the fuel for your Lyft operation, for your Uber operation. And enough people sat down and did the math to realize that not only could they afford to escape reality on a regular basis, but they weren't making anywhere near as much as they thought they were, because they didn't factor in tires that they had to replace, oil changes, because it's going to be a lot more frequently than the average person who just uses their car to go to and from work and maybe to and from the grocery. Thank you, D. Thank you for letting me know. What about cleaning the interior of the car, cleaning the exterior of the car? You'll get passengers that maybe drank a little too much and wind up vomiting in the back seat or wherever they're sitting. That's some biological contamination right there. You got the time and the equipment to clean that up? Is that an added expense? More than likely. What about those doors constantly opening and closing? So sometimes people get excited when they see that money coming in. Maybe it's more than what they're used to seeing it. Or maybe it's more than what they're used to seeing. Or maybe it's more frequently than what they're used to seeing it. It's really just a question of doing the math. You can do the math. That's not the hard part. The hard part is the discipline and the consistency. That's the hardest part. Walking in a store, looking at all this new stuff, coming to the conclusion that you don't need it. So now, do you have the discipline to say, well, I'm not going to buy it? Do you have that discipline? That's not easy. That's not easy because in our society, we are bombarded. Hey, Brandon. Hey, listen, Brandon, I noticed that you were doing a live simultaneously. I'm sorry about that. I didn't even check to see who was doing a live or not before I went on. Yeah, it was impromptu. It was. So we're bombarded from the time we're babies with marketing, with ads. And as a result, we're what do you call that kind of consumer? We're impulsive. We become impulsive consumers. I'm doing well, Brandon. We're about to have an exciting moment right now. I'm not exactly sure how many miles. I think we have 1 mile left. 1 mile left. Well, I like to be considerate, Brandon. I like to be considerate. However, I just came on. I was going through Boise, Idaho, and I figured this will probably be a nice experience for everybody to see Boise, Idaho if they've never been. There it is. There's the sign, y'all. Welcome to Oregon. We are in Oregon, y'all. It is official. We're in Oregon. We have crossed over Oregon, and I have another 382 miles to go to my destination. I have to make a delivery right here in Oregon. I'm suspecting that I'm going to be close to the coast, somewhere along I-5. That's the highway that runs north and south all along the West Coast. Kind of like I-95 for us in the East Coast. Out here in the West Coast is I-5. And Oregon is one of those states. Let me see. I've got a way station 24 miles. Now, I'm surprised that they don't have a way station immediately upon entering Oregon on I-84, because Oregon is very strict about having a permit, a highway access. It's the most expensive. So I think it was 2017. I came into Oregon for the first time. Yeah, it is beautiful. It is a beautiful sunset. So around 2017, I think it was, I came into Oregon for the first time, and I immediately had to pull into a way station. I crossed it. Okay, so I crossed in. I was in Idaho. I crossed in through Idaho, but I was in Washington State when I crossed into Oregon. And immediately, once you cross the bridge, because it's a river that separates at that particular point, and once you cross the river, you have to immediately go into the way station. And while in the way station, they check your DOT number to see if you have the permit or not to cross the state. If you don't have the permit, you get hit with a $475 fine, and then you got to turn around and leave the state. You can't even stay in the state to resolve that issue. You got to go to Washington or whatever state you came in from to resolve that issue. And when I called to find out how much it is, it was $4,500. Like, what? Outrageous sum of money. New Mexico, if you want to pass for the whole year, at that time it was something like $12.50. New York was, I don't know, like a few dollars. Kentucky's free. Now Connecticut is doing it. I don't know how much they're charging. They weren't charging back then. But Oregon was not only that. In Oregon, you have to pay for that permit, and that permit gives you a number. And if you don't have that number, you can't fuel in any of the fuel stations in Oregon without that number. My brother, I'm trying to tell you, my brother. But we are in Oregon now. Does the company what? Oh no, the company has to pay for that. But in 2017, I didn't have to come out the pocket then either. But if you own your own truck, your own company, if you have your own authority, Yeah, that's coming out of your pocket. It's coming out of your pocket. Right now, the most critical thing for a lot of these companies is the insurance. The insurance is no joke. No insurance, no active company. No active company. Please don't get caught driving a truck out here with no active company. Please don't. Yeah. Check it out, y'all. It's Oregon. Oregon. So I went across. I picked up in New Jersey. Went through Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Wyoming, Idaho. Now I'm finally in Oregon. 2,400 miles later. I'm 369 miles away from Portland. So I'm going past Portland, or I'm going further than Portland. Feels really nice. But no, if you're not single, with no children, I don't recommend you going to trucking right now. The trucking industry, it's been rough. It's been rough. And these brokers get away with so much stuff. It's disgusting. Cool, Brandon, cool. I couldn't read everything you wrote, Brandon, but it looks like you have to go. But I think I'm gonna call it a night also. I was happy to have all y'all's come in and come check out the live. I'll catch up with everybody on another time. Stay fresh and keep it profitable. Remember, though, most important thing, I say it all the time when I come on. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. Don't forget that. That is vital. So peace.